Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. Today on the show, we've got Coach Tony Perkins from Francis Howell High School, and we're going to give a look at your Vikings for the upcoming 2024 season, Coach.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this year. You know, on paper, you've got talent in abundance, but looking forward to hearing what you got to say about all these things. And, you know, as we look, I always love these parts because, you know, as we do, I'm the guy sitting here going, man, this team should kill everybody.
That's not going to happen.
But, you know, there's a lot of good baseball in this state. And how do you focus a team with this much talent towards a goal, right?
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, because we're going to be good. And you don't hear me say that very often, to tell you the truth. I don't like being ranked number 1, number 2, number 3.
Right.
I'll take 9 or 10, you know, but I don't want to be 1 or 2.
Don't want the target?
No, I don't need the target. I mean, there's many times I've been number 1 in preseason and not even make it to the quarterfinals, you know, or not even make a sectional game because it's just not in the books that year, you know. And a lot of kids get really full of themselves and think they're going to be great and they're just going to roll through people. That's when you're going to get stomped. That's when you get slapped across the face and say, you know, you lose. You're not as good as you think you are, buddy. You know, and that's you got to fight that. You got to make them feel like they're going to compete every game and they're going to play the game as hard as they possibly can. They're going to be dirty, you know, nasty players every game, every inning, every pitch.
You know, starting back with, you know, McCutcheon, you guys finished 3rd that year. Last year, Norfleet, you guys finished 2nd. You've got you got Sissel leading this team senior-wise. You got some dudes. You got a lot of those kids that have been around your program for the last couple of years through these runs. How do you think that helps them understand what it takes to get to that level?
It's a ton. I mean, we've been to the Final Four last 2 years, and a lot of those kids have been around. That's what people didn't realize. I mean, I got my whole outfield back, right. You know, besides, you know, Sissel, you know, and then ton of pitching come back, you know.
Right.
But Ty will be our shortstop for sure. I mean, he's looking to – depends on how much money the MLB want to throw at him, if he'll go in or not, you know. But we'll see what happens there. I mean, it's going on.
It's getting that way, isn't it?
Yeah, the Red Sox one came in the other day and we were with them. So, yeah, it's reality. I've only had 2 high school kids get drafted in my career, and that was – Calvin Munson and Brett Graves, and they both got drafted by the Cardinals. And you know, Munson never did. You know, he played his sophomore year at San Diego State, but you know, now he's playing. I just saw he got picked up by the Dolphins, so he's playing for both those guys. And yeah, and then you know, Graves, he ended up getting. He went to Mizzou and then got drafted as well, and got picked up and got to the big leagues with the Marlins. So
yeah,
you know, it's something that. I mean, you got to look at it, you know. And his dad was a draft. His dad played at Merrimack. His dad played at SLU, and his dad was drafted by the Giants, and he spent a couple years with them. So he's got the bloodlines of that, and that's things that they look at. He's a good student. More than anything else, he's got probably the best work ethic that we have. I mean, he's in that weight room at 5 a.m. every day working out, and he's just a fiend. I mean, he's put on 20-plus pounds this year, and his speed has really picked up. I mean, he's a pretty special dude.
From what I saw him last year to when I've seen him in person this year, that's the thing that jumps off is his physicality. Yep. It is. It really is. And I hadn't seen him since high school, but follow him, and there was a couple videos that were posted where he's hitting home runs.
Yeah.
And
he's a switch hitter. And
hitting them from the left side. So he's right-handed. But when you're popping home runs on the left side as a switch hitter.
Yeah. That's what happened this summer. He developed the power, and the scouts started seeing him hitting some home runs. And to go along with the speed that he has, I mean, that you know,
he's got elite speed.
Puts you in that draft conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So that's right at the top there. And I think it's going to – and then the next, coming back as far as the juniors at the top of that is Leo Humbert. Watched him. In that game, one of the more impressive things, he's never really seemed overwhelmed by anything. He just, from the time he was a freshman, he played like he belonged. I remember watching in that semifinal in the first year, he was a freshman. He's playing right field for you in that epic you guys played with Liberty North. He comes up in a big spot and just hoses a dude at home. It was a great throw.
Oh, he's got an arm.
And that's people. I mean, here's a freshman in that big situation making that kind of play. That says a lot about him, doesn't it?
Yeah, I remember my first, an old player of mine whose son's in the program says, "You know about Leo Humbert, right?" And I said, "I heard he's good." He goes, "No, he's the best player in the state that age." This is when he was about 12. And I'm like, okay, great.
Thank you.
He's coming to Howell, right? Yeah. He said, yeah, he lives in Howell. He's coming. I said, all right, cool. And then I got to see him. It was like everybody just stopped and watched us. I mean, he came to the G.A.C. prep camp, and when he was up, both teams would just stop, and coaches walking by would stop and just watch, just because the ball comes off his bat a little bit differently than others. And you should see him lately. He is a monster.
Oh, we saw him. He was on the show with Titus, and they came in. He's a big kid.
Yeah, he's really putting on. He's done a lot. He ain't missing too many squats. He's a good kid. He works his tail off, and I'm happy he's committed to Mizzou. Both them two kids we're talking about are committed to Mizzou, which is good for them. And it's just nice when you have marquee players that are younger and they make a commitment, because that takes things off of their plate, and you worry about that kind of stuff, the recruiting part, and that's good. I encourage my kids to feel right about where you're going, feel good about it. But if you feel good about it, man, commit. You can always decommit. That they have people decommit all the time. But if I get them committed early, I'm happy, family's happy, kids happy. Let's go play baseball.
There you go, Coach. We want to start, and we've just been talking. We were talking earlier with Coach Wilson about just playoffs and things like this. Depth, and especially with pitching, and when you're talking about going into the playoffs with Class 6 schools, and who are the guys that you're looking at? We know Alex Bryan has been at the top. He pitched great for you last year. Shipley was there. But you got a young guy in Eli Skidmore that could be there. Talk to us about those three guys.
You just ripped off our top three. That's pretty good. We did some homework, didn't we?
I try to. I try to do my homework. I do.
Yeah, Alex Bryan's going to be a strike thrower. He's not going to be overpowering. He's going to be 88-ish, maybe a little bit more. Been working really hard.
Coach, wait a minute. I got to stop you right there. I know you said he's not going to be overpowering. He's going to be 88-ish. I love that. 88-ish. There's a lot of guys can't hit 88.
Good. I got a bunch of those guys.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. The key is if they can throw strikes, and that's where AB's really good. I mean, he throws strikes, and he's got a good demeanor. He's going to Maryville, and I think he's going to have a great year for us.
Very good.
Shipley, I mean, what he brings to the table, he's going to SLU, committed SLU, to pitch for them. He's going to be 90-plus. Besides, baseball, I mean, he was a quarterback on the undefeated team 2 years ago. His quarterback this year in the quarterfinal game, I think it was.
They lost by 1 point.
Right, against CBC. And he's the leader of that group. I mean, I got a lot of guys that play football there, and I think that helps. If you parlay that into baseball, it's a big deal and become a leader. When Shipley comes in and throws strikes, he's going to be great.
I want to ask you about this because last year I know he kind of struggled down the stretch of throwing strikes. And do you think that was just, some mechanics and things? How does he overcome that this year?
Just got to pitch through it. Just got to pitch through it. And he will. I think he'll compete. I mean, now him being a senior. I mean, he pitched for me as a sophomore and as a junior, but it's still the maturation rate that they all go through. Him as a senior, I look for great things from him. I really do. And he's just a great teammate, and love the kid, and he'll have a great career at SLU. And then you talk about Skid, they're going to be teammates. He's committed to SLU as well. Had a great summer. He's going to be 80-ish. He pitches. He competes. That's a big thing. His dad's our freshman football coach and just a treat to talk to. Yeah, he's going to be one of my guys. I mean, there's no doubt that he's going to be up there and competing and throwing strikes. So, and I got 2 more years of him, which is great.
There you go. Well, and then speaking of that, you got some kids, sophomores, Brett Schneider, Curtis. Do you see them making an impact up on the varsity level?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those guys, they touching 88, 89 themselves. I mean, Jake's about 6'4", Dylan Curtis is right below him, not much, 6'3", 6'4", and those dudes can throw. I mean, it's loose as a goose. I mean, I know Jake's been to TCU and Tennessee's on him. He's got some big schools on him. He's a Power 5 guy, and Dylan Curtis is right there with him too. I mean, both them guys are going to be, I think, Power 5 guys, and they're going to throw strikes. And the thing about Dylan too, I think, from what I've heard and seen and talked about people in the summertime, is like the bigger the game, the better he is.
Wow.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
And Jake's, got that great demeanor about him, and he's really concentrating on pitching. He gave up basketball. Heck, he was on the varsity basketball team as a freshman.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't play this year to concentrate on baseball, but, and so he's training out at P3, and then so it's getting better. I mean, those two, I'll have them for 3 years. You don't think I'm not juiced about that.
So, who else are we looking at? I mean, right there, that's 5 kids. That's a lot of depth right there.
Well,
at a top
to
level.
tell you the truth, I got 13 arms I'm looking at. So, I mean, I got a bunch.
That's tough to pare down, isn't it?
Yeah, but we play a lot of games, and I'll use a lot of guys. I mean, because, I got to, because I play so many games. I got to have, I let them play. That's why we do it. But a few more guys. I mean, everybody doesn't talk about Jack Brett Schneider, who's a junior. He's 6'6"-ish. He got hurt last year and didn't pitch much, and now he's back full time. He's working out at Sports Barn. I mean, he could be something special too. I mean,
there you go.
And
you got to love the experience, and especially if a kid's coming back off an injury and wanting to get back on the mound. That just drive, right?
Yeah. And there's a lefty I got that nobody's talking about, which I love, but I'm gonna start talking about it. It's Braden Ray. He's a lefty. He throws frisbees. It's pretty good. He competes. He was the kicker on the football team. He was did the extra points and kicked off for him and punted for him too, I think. But he's a great arm. I mean, it's going to be good. And he throws strikes as well. So it's nice having that lefty in your pocket. I can use him in short stints, and especially when we got those lefty situations where maybe you got 3 lefties in a row. So, Ray, you're up, man. You're going to get those guys. That'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
That's something you haven't had a lot of, other than Naputi in a while. Yeah, as far as lefties, right?
Usually have 1 or 2, but marquee guys. Naputi was pretty marquee.
Yeah, that was pretty marquee, Coach. So you got guys that are going to put you in a good position.
Yeah.
To keep runs off the board.
I'm not done.
Oh my gosh!
I got Grayson Coleman, who's committed to Moberly, right-hander. Threw for us a little bit last year. His velo's up there. Quinn Redfield's committed as a right-hander. I mean, he's committed. Who else? Well, I don't know. Some other juniors that are looking, I've seen them pitch before, and they all could help. There's Mason Burke and Drew Gartland and Matthew Rouser and Colin Lovelady. There's 14 guys right there. I mean, I really like the Drew Gartland kid. He's a bigger kid, and I've seen him get out there chucking. I don't know what his velo is, but he's a big, strong kid, and he's got a chance to help us out. So, I mean, there's 14 arms right there, and really, I mean, it's not just guys. They say, can they pitch? And I really believe, and I know that they can. I know I've seen it. I know that they can pitch. They're just not filling guys. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that's where I'm going to be ahead of the game a little bit, because if we play 5 games in a week, I'm going to have guys that are pretty doggone good, and if a guy stinks that day, I can roll in the next guy, and that guy's going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he might be touching 80-80s, he might be 86, 88, whatever. Most time, guys are going to their shortstop or second baseman who are throwing 79, 80. I won't have anybody on my staff who's just 79, 80.
Right.
I mean, that's just the beast that we have. But
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, you see, and I think sometimes that in high school, you're seeing that guy that's at 78 to 82, somewhere in that range. He'll touch something here and there, but he's sitting at 79, 80. But then if you got all your guys in that mid 80 up range, that makes a huge difference.
that's where I'm at. Everybody I just mentioned is at least 85.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. When you're so if you're getting that, let's talk defensively. I always like to start personally on pitching and defense. I believe that's the foundation. I believe this. I believe hitting is a privilege. You can't hit until you get 3 outs, right, Coach?
That's right.
That's right. And if you're out there making errors, it doesn't help you.
No.
So defensively, how are you looking? We know we got Titus at short. Caleb Miller caught a lot for you last year, played a lot for you there. Up the middle, I mean, I think you had Humbert in center because you moved Naputi over to right when he wasn't pitching, things like that. So how are you looking at, and where are these? Of course, Jackson Vaughn, I think he played first base.
He was in the outfield for me last year, but that could be a move. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I got another kid named Owen Larrigan that played a lot of first base when Norfleet was pitching or whatever. And, my questions lay in the infield and catcher, but I have great options. I mean, I got some good players there. I mean, guys that have had some experience, guys that play in the club level team, the best club teams. And, yeah, so at first it could be Jackson. I could move Jackson in and shoot somebody else out there in the outfield. I mean, in the outfield.
Yeah, because he played left field.
Yeah, last year it was Webenmeyer, Humbert, and Vaughn. I had all 3 lefties out there. And so they're all 3 back.
Yes, they are. And there's a kid I love. I've seen him a couple times at a couple of events, PBR events, Webenmeyer. He's an impressive kid.
Yeah, Webb is, and he's brilliant. I mean, him and Jackson Vaughn are like smartest kids in their class. I mean, Webb's going to S&T. He'll be some kind of engineer and make a ton of money sometime. I mean, that's just the way he's going. That's what happens when they go to S&T.
Right, it's true.
And Leo's going to be great, and Jackson Vaughn is like number 1 in his class, unweighted.
So you could leave those 3 guys there.
And Jackson Vaughn's going to Wichita State, by the way.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Yes, it is.
So I can move him into first base, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, those are questions to be answered. Second base and third base, it'll be, I don't know. Schaefer Craddock is a guy that can do all 3. He's a senior. He's committed to Moberly. I got a sophomore that's pretty doggone good. He's going to get a chance. His name's Brady Tanner. He's a pretty good player.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That remains to be seen.
That's all competition then, right?
Right. Colin Lovelady, I mean, he's really great. I mean Colin and Matt Rouser, third base. I mean, second, third, Tanner. I don't know. I could throw Tanner in the outfield if he can hit. Those are some questions, but I have problems. But they're pretty decent problems because I'm not. It's going to be some competition. I mean, if we get out there and we start, I start a guy and he goes over, I'll just go to the next guy. And that guy gets a hit, and that's what happens. I mean, if you get hot, you're the guy, I mean, that's what happens. You just got to get out there when you get your chance and compete. And it's, like at my place, every day is a competition for playing time. That's what I tell them. I mean, earn your spot today at practice. Let's go. Let's get after it a little bit. That's when you're going to earn your playing time.
But Coach, when you talk about those things, that's the nature of sport, period, isn't it? Mm-hmm. All you want is an opportunity. If you're going, okay, it's your opportunity. Mm-hmm. Let's see what you got. and I think that's a fair thing. And I think sometimes when kids are coming, I hope this is, but I think in the culture we've created to a degree, and this is from, I think, youth baseball, some of the kids come into programs thinking they got a spot. I was the best player on my team. I'm going to go out there and show. And I think that can sometimes be detrimental to a kid at times. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the world comes crash down on them when they get cut.
Right.
I mean, I cut a lot of. I mean, I cut guys that are really good players. There's no doubt in my mind.
Right.
And it's a sad situation. I mean, I cut guys that go play in college, but it's what we have.
Right.
We got guys out there that are better. I mean, and they're not going to play. You don't want to keep seniors that are going to sit on the bench and complain about playing time. You don't want that cancer. I mean, the rule is if you got a senior, he should start.
Right. Right.
Well, and I broke that rule many times because I know the kid. I mean, if he's a great kid who's a great teammate, who's going to do everything you ask of him, be very good for the team. I want him on the team. He ain't going to play, and he'll make that sure. I'll make that
he'll understand, right?
Very clear to him, and he'll know that. Just be real pleased to have a uniform, which is fine, and I'll be proud to have him on my team.
Right.
And I know he's not going to play, but I love those guys that I get sometimes, and it's fun, but. Yeah, it's a rough deal. It really is.
And maybe somebody gets hurt and they have to play.
Oh,
and you never know.
Oh, yeah, and I try and get them in. I mean, I'll courtesy run them, pinch run them, or give them an AB and things like that. I mean, we get up a bunch. It's like, oh, you're up, buddy. Let's go. See what you got. I mean, I'm not going to – I mean, I do use guys. I mean, I do try and give everybody some experience,
sure.
And especially early. We play in the Troy Classic. And then we play in the Midwest Classic, and then we got the Columbia Tournament. I mean, we got a ton of games, So, and it's fun for me to give guys that chance and to see them succeed. They're banging every day in practice. They're going through all the conditioning. They're doing all base running. They're doing everything that they should do. And then all of a sudden, bang! Hey, man, I'm in the game.
Right.
Now, how do you react to that?
Right.
Yeah. Do you just look terrible because you're so uptight and and you're too nervous about it?
Right.
But it's a different situation. It ain't no summer ball where you got mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, and that's it. I mean, there's other people around. They're just watching the game, and other schools will be there if they're off. Just watching and scouting and how a kid, performs on the field, is a big deal to me. I mean, I gotta see, I don't know. I get it. And I think I love that. That's an important part of these things. And when bigger programs, I know there are other schools, the smaller schools and whatnot, they're always, hey, we're sometimes you got to make do with what you get. But in a program such as this, I mean, you're competing every day for a spot. You're competing not to get cut. You're competing against some very talented people, and I think that's the interesting part of this for me. Yeah, I'll tell you that something too. You said that like the small schools just get what they get. I'm the same way.
Well, I understand. I get it.
I'm not a MCC guy where you can go get other guys.
I understand. Still public school.
You know who's who's coming to your school, and because you've been around, and you're getting. They have official recruiters, by the way. So. I mean, I'm not like that. I understand. That's an unfair playing field, in my opinion. But there's that.
There you go. We'll save that for.
They can have their own thing. They'll do their own thing. That's fine. And I love the guys. I mean,
I
coaches,
understand.
They're good people.
It's all good. Coach, offensively, like I said, just starting in the outfield, we already know about type, but Leo, Webenmeyer, Vaughn. Those guys.
All those guys were all-state somewhere along the way. Siswell's first team. He's been all-state since his freshman year. Yeah.
You're talking, that's some serious firepower in the middle of your lineup.
Oh, yeah.
Where is the depth after those guys, after those four guys?
Well, I'll tell you, we'll be able to bunt.
We know that.
Yeah, I got a lot of guys that can really hit. I'm telling you, I'm fine. I'm good shape. We didn't talk about catching spot, but that's
Go ahead,
up
please.
for grabs. Had a kid named Mitch Weisenborn. Played as a freshman, sophomore. Big old dude. He was like all conference offensive lineman. Big old donkey. But I really like him. And I guess he's coming back out this year. He didn't play high school. Played in the summertime and did pretty well in the summer. Just kind of laid back and hit pretty well. I know he can pitch too. I've seen him pitch when he was younger. I mean,
Wow.
But anyway, he's coming out, and so he's got a shot at it. And then I really like the sophomore kid we got, Lard Van Siever. Dude competes, man, and he's just got a football kind of mentality on the baseball field. And thing is, can you handle 90 every day? Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that I love you bringing that up, because that becomes a difference maker.
Mm-hmm.
I know from being an umpire, I've been behind the plate when there's a catcher that can't handle the stuff of the guy on the mound, and it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fun thing.
Yeah, I mean, like the marquee guys, we were talking like Hatchman. Timberland had trouble with a catcher holding him, and there's been numerous guys in their conference and in this area that they don't have a catcher that can catch him, and that's a big deal. It really is. But if I can get that, if that kid ends up earning the spot, I got him for 3 years. That's pretty good. There's an Ernst and a Topping too, or juniors that have caught, but I don't need 4 catchers.
And that's a tough thing when you lose a senior like Miller. You got to come in. How's he going to handle that staff, senior, and guys that are pumping, guys that got good stuff? You may lose some strikes in a game if you don't have a guy that can do that, right?
Right, and he'll catch them all, early in the season, and I'll be watching that. It's tough. Like even when Leo came up as a freshman and Ty Sissel came up as a freshman, I mean, if you're smart,
Mm-hmm.
you keep your mouth shut and just do your thing. You don't say nothing, because the seniors will
Just keep working.
The seniors will take care of that nonsense in a hurry.
Right.
And so you just keep your mouth. And both them two guys were quiet as church mice when they came in. But after a while, some of the seniors are like, man, these guys are really good. These guys can really play. They can help us. I go, yeah. You're no duh. Why do you think I got them? So I mean that's a tough thing, and I think Van Siever could be a leader, but he won't be a leader, a sophomore on this team. I mean, we got too many seniors, with Ty and Shipley and all them guys. Those guys will be the leaders.
But you still got to have that guy, I think, behind the plate that exudes confidence.
Yes.
That can handle your guys,
Mm-hmm.
and to create what is necessary, because that's the guy that it projects out from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got to have a good relationship with the umpires, get some calls.
Yeah, shake a hand,
Yeah.
Talk fishing. Best time I ever had behind the plate. Young man come out, shook my hand, and he just talked fishing the whole time. We had a great time. He was catching. He was doing a good job. Never said anything. He'd go, where was that, Blue? I'd tell him. He goes, okay. We was out at this lake the other day, and, man, it was
slaying them.
It was a crack, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And, it's baseball. I mean, there's other places I'm sure where there's more, you get to that professionalism in college and things like that. But we were having a good time. It's baseball. Have some fun as a kid,
Yeah.
And I think those are interesting things. And if you look at Laird Van Siever, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's as in that 26 class. PBR's got him at 36 in the state. So I mean that shows a little bit.
I'm used to having top 10.
Yeah. Oh.
We'll get him up there.
Well, you got a bunch of dudes that are ranked up there on this squad. I mean, you're talking about in each class you got guys that are in the top 50, top 100. I mean, in the state, and I think that shows the depth of talent that you're going to have this year. And as I said before, your coaching staff, and I always like to ask this question, you've got your program. Those guys at the freshman JV level, how are they helping that program continue to grow like this?
Well, it's a machine. I mean, they know. I sit on a practice schedule every day, and there's 8 of us. and we all get it. I mean, I shoot out like 7 in the morning. By every 10 minutes we're doing this, every 15 minutes we're doing that, whatever. So they have the nuts and bolts. A lot of times we're not in the same place, freshman, sophomore wise, and I got no problems with that. But at least they know what we're doing, and a lot of times they can't keep up because we'll go through it faster because they've been through it more and just do repetitions. So we've been really spoiled, man. I mean, it keeps coming. I mean, the freshman team's going to be good. The sophomore team's going to be good. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3. I might have 4 sophomores on the varsity.
You got 8? I mean, that's even that's a lot of coaches at the high school level. And how many freshman coaches do you have, and who
2.
are they?
I got 2. I got Brett Schroeder's going to be the head coach. I lost Justin Smitty. Smitty was with me for like 20 years, and he took off and went to North Point. He lives right there, and his kids would go to North Point. So he made the move and coached football and baseball out there at North Point. That was sad to leave, to have him leave. But Brett Schroeder been his assistant coach at the freshman level for 2 years, so he put in his time, and he's ready to go. We got a great guy helping him. His name is Seth Fortner. His dad was a head coach at Northwest forever. He's got a lot of experience. He came in and helped the football staff, and I talked to some of the varsity football guys. They said they love him. Said the kids love him. He works his tail off, and being a coach's son,
right.
And I knew his dad too, so
right.
I knew I couldn't go wrong with him. So them two are gonna be together. Brett and Seth will be at the freshman level. Sophomore level stayed the same as it had in the last couple of years. Clark Cranston, he's been there for a long time. And Rich Barnes has helped him. Barnes is a Howell grad, so he knows the scene, and it's good to have those guys around down there. They know what to do, and they need help, they'll steal them from the freshmen. So that's what happens.
And you've had, your varsity staff's been with you how long?
Well, this will be Matt Felt's 3rd year. He got Assistant Coach of the Year for the MHS BCA. He's going to get an award at the clinic.
Oh, wow.
How many times do your first 2 years of coaching, you go to 2 Final Fours?
Right.
Thought that was merited. So I nominated him, and they selected him, which I'm very happy about that. Kids love him. He played at Mizzou. Good dude. He does the infielders for us, coaches first base for us, and works with hitters. He's been really good.
Very good.
He can get there on time, and it's cool. And I got Darren Sissel, of course. He's been with me for over 20 years, and it's a valuable tool right there. I mean, you talk about base running, you talk about bunting, you talk about how to just a mental game, and he runs the sports enhancement class at school. And that's where all the athletes go, and they're training every day with Coach Sissel. That's pretty good when you got your baseball guy and they're leading that group. Yeah. So he does that, and it's very nice having him around. And he's a good sounding board for me. We talk a lot. I mean, he'll bring up stuff that I don't agree with, but gives me stuff to think about. The bottom line, I know that I'm going to make the final decision, but I do ask their opinions. And sometimes, like last year, we were doing a lot of things with the lineup, and I just stopped asking about lineups because it ended up being an hour conversation via text, just blasting away all night. So I just stopped doing it. So I just did it. But we got another valuable guy at the varsity level. That's Anthony Herron. Herron was played at Jeffco and then played at Missouri State. Got drafted by the White Sox and then played with them for a couple years. Pitching wise, kids like him. I mean, and I can just say, hey man, you got. We have a lot of POs, and that's pitching only guys.
Yep.
I love them as people. I don't like being around them. They drive me nuts. And I always tell Herron, I said, get them POs away from me. You'll take them out in right field, do work on some PFP stuff. Just get them away from me. I don't want them around.
Coach, pitchers are athletes too.
Well, yeah, I know, and they're a very important part. But if I'm trying to get some nuts and bolts done on the field, I don't need them guys just hanging around. And if I see guys just hanging around doing nothing, I got a problem. Why are you just standing there doing nothing right now? There's always something you can do. You're at practice. You're at practice. Get something done today.
Put a glove on and come over and catch for me, right?
Go shovel some dirt. I don't care. Do something. I mean, you got to do something. Yeah, you just irks me to no ends. If you see, especially a guy come walk, pulls up a bucket, sits down. I say, "Are you kidding me? We are not going to do that here." You tell me, I do get a little wound up about that stuff.
I couldn't tell. That's all right.
I get kids that work pretty hard for the most part. But
well, Coach, looking at this, I've got you. Me personally, what I've looked at, and just from this and looking at that, I mean, you're up there. I think Lee Summit West, Blue Springs South, Staley. I think you're in that mix. I don't think you can go wrong picking your team or any of those other teams personally with looking at baseball in this state. And, I mean, you still got Liberty North out there. Coach Stiegel's not going to go away. That team's still got talent.
Oh, no doubt.
And, so there is some down south there, Nixa. I think Nixa is going to present a lot of problems. Republic's
they got a lot of guys back.
Yeah, Republic's going to be tough to handle. Mm-hmm. You got Jackson, of course, Coach Roach down there, his team. He's still got Sauer you got to deal
Paul.
with. Yeah, and so DeSmet, Vianney, just in our area here.
Vianney, DeSmet, that order.
I wasn't in no particular order.
Right. Here's my thing this year. I mean, I don't like being ranked in the top. Preseason doesn't mean anything, my opinion. But I know we're going to be good, and a lot of people like sticking it to me and putting me number one just because of that. Because to me it's a jinx. I mean, how many times is
I'll put you at number 20. How's that, Coach?
That's great. How many times does a number one team preseason not even make it anywhere? I mean, that's commonplace. But this year I'm like, yeah, we're going to be good.
Yeah,
and we are.
This was interesting at the beginning of last year. We had done an interview over with Brett Graves, and I came over. You guys were practicing in the sports barn over there, and I was sitting down talking with Coach Sissel. And we were talking about the team, and he goes, "Oh yeah, we're gonna." He says honestly, and he said this then. He said, "We could be better next year."
Got a chance. I mean, arm wise. I mean, depth wise. I mean, it's deepest I've ever been in my 39 years of coaching. And that's what he was
pointing to, right. and so right there, he'd already said that. And looking at the situation, and then what we're seeing here. And it's not taking away anything from those teams. I mean, my goodness.
It's just next. Who's next?
Just, it shows. And I love paying a lot of respect to those guys. I really enjoyed watching Jake McCutcheon. Still to this day, we're playing at that big old huge ballpark down there in Springfield, U.S. Bank or U.S. Ballpark.
Bad facility for high school.
I know of 3 guys that have hit it out of there in high school, but I've only seen 2. And one of them is Jake McCutcheon. He hit that bomb from the left side in that game. Then there's, of course, Nazan. It's the only 2 guys I've seen hit it out of there. And then Reese Robinette hit one out. But that's, very few guys.
Our son played there. That was their home field, so I saw a few more.
Right. But I'm talking about, in high school and those situations, it's hard to hit it out of that ballpark. It shows, I think, the level of talent. And I think you got a couple of guys this year.
I don't like that facility, but whatever.
We won't get into that.
Now maybe I need to talk to Mr. Bradley.
There you go. Coach, as always, a pleasure.
Very welcome. I enjoy talking about my guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You should. That's a really good baseball team. I do want to ask.
We got like 12 commits, and that's not counting any of the sophomores.
Yes.
That's pretty unprecedented.
It's impressive.
5 D1s.
Yes, you do. And that to me is why looking at the things that stands out with your team is the Division I commits, and not only Division I, but Power 5, and the level. When you start looking at some of the other schools, they have D1 commits, they have Power 5, but it's just a little different with your squad, and so
yeah, I've never had 5 D1 commits before early. I mean, I've never had that.
That's pretty real.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's impressive. And that shows you the work that these kids have put in.
Yeah.
They know they're working hard. And I know you do that. You talk about the work that these kids are putting in, the level of play that they're playing. These kids are then you just got to point them in the right direction.
Well, I'll point them.
Go that way. So appreciate it. Looking forward to it. As always, Coach, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, Coach Tony Perkins, Francis Howell High School, the Vikings, they are the preseason number one. So there you go.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I can't help it.
Yeah.
It's my, there you go. It's those opinions, Coach.
Right there. It's your opinion.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button right there. It's right there below on either side. I think it's on that side, maybe on this side. I don't know where I'm sitting. But then the dinger right next to it, right? Dingers are good.
Yep.
You got some guys that will knock some dingers for you.
I like dingers.
There you go. That gets you all your I like them because it gets you notifications for more shows like this. That's what it's fun stuff. We appreciate it very much. Love the support. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes and hitters.
Hit 'em where it ain't.
Exactly. Good advice. We'll see y'all next time.